Coming here, interacting with a lot of interdisciplinary scientists and also biologists started guiding my research trajectories towards more interdisciplinary ethnobotanical research foci. So one specific memory I have is really studying Quechua color categories and plant terms, which I had a professor, not at Tulane, but in the past, just challenged me, why do you need to go into that depth of linguistic analysis? And, to me, I thought that was kind of a silly question because so much of what we think is interacts with the language that we think about.
No word for green, even though green is everywhere. Maybe that partially explains it. But these types of things kind of really just inspired me to just keep digging deeper. I mean, if they don't have something as seemingly simplistic as a color category for such prevalent colors, what else might they not have words for or other words for? And what does that even mean? You don't have to be an anthropologist, I think, to just appreciate how complex and interesting that is.
I mean, they don't have words for plants. Everyone's just wants to find out about plant knowledge, but it's kind of a more nuanced approach because you can't just tell me about every plant in their own language. You have to be more specific, talk about vines or a tree or a tiny shrub.
I had the opportunity to visit a Iyarina community, and that was the most work I've ever done to travel somewhere. I had to take a small plane for an hour into the forest, land on a small runway, and then take a tiny canoe 7 hours downriver to go visit some people that were family members of somebody I'd been working with. And I stayed with them for a week, and I was just stunned by how open they were to just a visitor coming, just somebody they didn't know. They were just like, okay, yeah, you can hang out with us for as long as you want. And by the way, let's go into the forest and get some food from the forest, and you can help with that. So that was something that really inspired me to keep working here. We walked into the forest and found a palm tree laying on the ground, and we harvested a bunch of big larvae from the tree, and then we cooked those up and had them for dinner. And I was just amazed at the diversity of foods that can be found in the forest, what the forest provides for people, how people utilize the resources there.
And what's really beautiful about Iyarina is that it's right in the Amazon. It's right in this region where they've grown up, where they've become familiar and accustomed to. Many of the plants are the same, but many of the teachers here and resources here have grown up in this area as children. Todd has married into a Quechua family that is from this broader area. So the second we get down here and we're starting to walk around in the forest, they're going to start getting visual cues. Sometimes it may be a tree that their grandfather had planted, in their youth, or other times it may be a different part of the forest or environment that means something to them in particular. And you can't get at that type of knowledge or learning without being in this environment. So I feel that's one of the most critical things about coming down here repeatedly or immersing yourself in these types of experiences no matter where you are. I mean, there's nothing like it. Walking through the forest, and when getting down at night especially, like we normally do, it's overwhelming is a word I think that I would use. These tall trees looming out of the darkness at you, pressing in at you. You can definitely see or sense why some people, when they were exploring it, called the Amazon the green hell. It's different. It's scary at first. It's not like anywhere you've ever been in the United States or in Canada.
It all looks like just a sea of green, but the more time you spend here, you realize the more that there's more diversity and richness than there appears at first. You have to look deeply. You have to stop and think about things. You have to look at things in a different way and sort of change the way you think about the composition of the forest. And I'm always struck by, the more time I spend down here, the more struck I am by the beauty. It's something that grows over time. It's it's not like I'll ever like stop feeling that way, or it'll get old to me. It's I'm always recognizing something new. I'm always learning something new. But I'm also, on the other hand, I'm also scared about the fragility of all of those things. The forest is in danger. Roads are penetrating into the region. Lifestyles are changing. Growing populations.
It makes me think about just the brilliance of life and cycles of life, not fragility necessarily, even though forests are disappearing and that causes me great pain a lot, to meditate on how quickly things are changing or disappearing. But many Quechua people don't necessarily think of it that way. I think life is just cyclical and regenerative, which is an interesting and powerful thought to entertain, I think.